Well, anything that was alive in that area is now destroyed. Hey guys, what's going on? Today on Steel Beast, we've got the scenario of Tank Company in the attack by Zapuli with some modifications made by myself. In this case, we have a T-14 company. That is the T-14 Armata, of course. You can see it pictured here in game. I'm not going to go into the massive technical details of it, but to give you a basic idea with my best defense industry announcer voice. Armed with a 125mm cannon and weighing in at 55 tons, the T-14 Armata is the Russian Federation's main battle tank of the future today. Pretty decent, I could probably get a job, calling out monster truck rallies on Saturdays at local state fairs or something of that nature. But hey, here's the tank itself. It's got a 125mm cannon with a range of 4,000 meters and is extremely tough. Other things in the company itself, we've got some T-15s. These are armed with a 30mm autocannon, you can see there, as well as the AT-14 Cornet missiles on the side. Those things have a range of 8,000 meters, which is legitimately the entire map, so should make it interesting. We've also got some missile teams inside these that we'll be deploying later on. They're armed with the AT-4, the Russian, not the American version, and that is going to give us a range of 4,000 meters. Plan to employ them when the enemy inevitably counterattacks. Standard CSS stuff, kind of a T-14 armored recovery vehicle chassis and, medic, supply, fueler, etc. And there aren't currently modeled Russian mortars, so I've got some 1064s here to be able to give us some rapid fire against any infantry that we happen to encounter during this mission. So, objective's pretty simple. We move from the west to the east, from attack position chaos, to seize the objective, kill the enemy in the vicinity of the fuel station, and then celebrate the glory of the Russian army. Okay, good to go. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is plot a basic route and etc. for all my units to move forward into this vicinity here. Probably going to encounter enemy recon, elements of the main force here, probably a counterattack in this area, capture the objective, defeat the second enemy counterattack, and we're going to see how we do. So I'll probably skip forward at this portion as I put everything in position. Alright, so we've got all the initial waypoints put in position, and we're going to go ahead and begin the scenario and see how we do. So in Steel Beast itself, currently the T-14 and the T-15 and all the other Armata series, while they are modeled, they are not playable. So for this scenario, we're going to be looking at the artificial intelligence doing its thing, and specifically reacting to contact, executing gunnery, everything of that nature. Really, at this level, we'll be mostly giving orders and responding. There's a few tricks and tips you can use to assist the AI in targeting things, but yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the first platoon and do some time skipping until something happens. Alright, we've got contact with, think right there, that looks like a Burnham 2, yep. So there's one destroyed, one retreating, and alright, that's a kill. So, these, yeah, T-14s are definitely doing some damage. I mean, granted, it's a Burnham 2, so, they're not particularly, scary or dangerous vehicles for tanks, but certainly not bad gunnery on the part of the AI. Alright, got some enemy infantry. Go ahead and identify them. So by holding shift and right-clicking, you can basically tell the AI that, hey, I've spotted these infantry and they need to, you know, kind of do their thing. In this case, engage. And that was the Afghanet active protection system going off and protecting against that RPG. Or whatever AT system they're using. We're fighting simulated Ukrainian, so I assume it's some form of RPG. There we go. And got more infantry, likely from dismounted survivors, I think, from the Burnham. Yep. There they are. Alright, enemy tanks. I want to focus him on those, if I can. Not really in a great position for the commander right now, so I'm going to have him kind of pull back, and let's try to get these guys moving forward and engaging those enemy tanks. They're going to be a little bit better at that, obviously, than, you know, projecting a full platoon's combat power as opposed to just a single commander. And looks like they killed 2 of those, so very impressive shooting. And I'm reasonably sure that we've cleared out the majority of stuff here. So, move this guy, our command vehicle, forward to this position. See if we can identify what those tanks are. I can't tell right now. I assume maybe T-72s. I know they also have T-80s in this scenario, just due to testing it and playing it and, you know, going through there. Now, that's not to say the T-80 or the T-72 is equal to a T-14. Obviously, it's not, as you can imagine. And good lord, these things are lethal. Everything is dying. It's great. I love it. Go ahead and go to fast. You, mech infantry, proceed forward. Yeah, mech infantry, they're kind of underappreciated. I know tanks always get all the glory and the credit, but honestly, you can do some pretty impressive things with, you know, some well-placed AT systems. Which, hopefully I can show in this scenario. It all depends on if the enemy lets me, which the enemy always has a say, and they're not really going to want to let you do, you know, exactly what you want to do for obvious reasons, because it's very bad for them. Okay. So I'm going to wait for the rest of my element to move forward into position for these tanks, and certainly the mech infantry. Let's put you guys at top speed so you can move in quicker. Following that, we'll have the mortars begin a march and then set up over here so that we're in range. They have a 7.2 kilometer range overall with their 120 millimeter mortars. And we'll pull CSS forward later. Definitely an interesting looking vehicle. Quite an interesting design. Very futuristic looking. Yeah. Alright, so what I think I'm going to do is have 2nd Platoon move up here, 1st Array in this vicinity. I'll push 3rd forward here. I'd like to... Realistically, I see this as a good area to deploy the mech infantry, have their AT systems pointed this way in the event of an enemy counterattack. We can send 2 tank platoons here, on if the enemy tries to break through, or in the north we'll have a mech platoon plus a platoon of the T-15s, as well as 3 ATGMs, and that is a lot of firepower. Close spacing wedge. Once you get there, go to close spacing in a line. I'm going to order this unit forward. Let's see if, yep, looks like we can get a pretty good view right there. Be kind of difficult directing sectors of fire, so I'm gonna push that platoon through the wood line there. As for the mech infantry, proceed forward to this position, form a line, close interval, same here, close interval and a wedge at fast speed. Got mortars moving forward, and I'm going to establish my CSS right in this vicinity here. This scenario is going to be quick enough to where I don't realistically see myself having to reload. Alright, enemy troops, so we're going to use our mortars, personnel. Normally it's with overhead cover, so we'll go with that. And we've got about a minute until they're firing, which should give us enough time for them to move into position. The 1068, of course, is not a Russian vehicle, as I pointed out previously, but it's basically used as a proxy for, 120 millimeter mortar or something similar. And of course, we have an AT system, so I'm going to call regular field artillery as well. So ideally, we'll have mortars falling in at 30 seconds. All right, and that enemy vehicle's immediately destroyed. Good lord, these things are powerful. You to focus on the objective there. I'll move the commander forward to this area. Looks like taking fire from AT systems. This vehicle was hit, radio was damaged. That's not really a big deal at this time. And fire mission is active. Let's see these guys set up and do it. So yeah, you've got dynamic mortars. That's pretty cool. They're doing their thing. See if we can observe any fires. There's the hill. Should be to the left, somewhere in this region, I believe. I could be totally wrong, of course. Alright, I'm going to dismount the AT systems. I don't really care about the rest of the mech infantry at this time. And my plan is to set them up in this little wood line here. This is going to enable the tank platoon there, second platoon, to maneuver forward under cover. So I'm going to give them an engage route so they move into position fairly quickly. You'll see your little soldiers like running forward. It's pretty cool. They of course get tired quicker, as you would expect, versus just walking, which, you know, makes sense from a realism perspective. Alright. They're making sure they got all their stuff before jogging forward with all those heavy AT systems. And I want everyone else to go ahead and mount up in their vehicles, so I'll take care of that. that will occur. And they can be ready for follow-on missions if we need the rest of our dismounts, which I don't really think we will. There they go. He's almost in position. Their little stamina bars here, normally they'll have a full green one. It's getting down to amber, and then it'll go to red, where red, they're, you know, exhausted and tired and everything else. Which you can see there, so they're having to move forward and, you know, be a bit more tired. Wait until they set up their AT-4s and orient in the proper direction prior to proceeding forward. And what's cool with the infantry is when you give them a defend tactic like I've done, they'll move to an area where, one, they can see the general target area that you're designating, and two, they're going to move to a position where they've got some form of cover or concealment, or both preferably. They'll make the most out of the terrain, but you still have to pick a decent area for them to set up in. Appears we've got another AT system spotted. That may be the same one. We'll repeat on the field artillery mission, cancel our first mission, and redo our mortar mission. We'll put our T-15s there and try to get some flank shots. Alright, got enemy tanks moving forward. Actually, see if we can move them into a closer position. They'll be moving in, orienting on that position itself. We've got these guys apparently taking fire, or reporting they're taking fire. Occasionally they'll set up in positions you don't necessarily want them to. That's, you know, being smart for trying to keep themselves alive, but, you know, probably not the best thing. We're going to bound forward with both tank platoons while our AT systems stay in place. As you can tell, that AP active protection system is very effective, the Afghanet. I mean, enemy honestly had a pretty good ambush set up there. Didn't seem to really do a lot. That vehicle has an engine failure from one of those BMPs, so got a vehicle out of the fight. as we're continuing to shred through the Ukrainian T-72, or excuse me, T-80s. Which are getting absolutely annihilated at this point. I think we'll need to conduct a combat reload after this initial engagement. But honestly, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, people give bad reputation to the artificial intelligence of Steel Beast, and not gonna lie, there are times where yes, it can be frustrating, especially maneuvering large convoys along very long, unimproved routes with a lot of turns. They can sometimes make some a bit silly decisions, but one, it can simulate, you know, your convoy leader getting lost, which, yes, believe it or not, driving straight down a road is something that people can mess up. And two, honestly, if you know how to use these properly, they do a pretty good job as far as directing the AI. So we'll go here, start calling out targets, make sure that they're spotted to the best of our ability. Alright, got some issues with their APS as well as their laser warning. If you have a lot of cool guy sensors on your vehicle, there is, of course, a chance that they will be damaged. Not really a shocker by any means. Okay, we're going to pick up all of our dismounts at this point. Got another platoon of BMP-2s. Now, it's worth mentioning that while these T-14s and just the Armata series in general is very impressive, I mean, you know, you can just see the slaughter that we've got going on right now. We have, what, one vehicle that needs the engine replaced, you know, one that needs some, you know, changes to some of its sensors. But at the end of the day, I have, within this company here, half of the entire T-14 fleet within the Russian Federation, which is quite telling of the limited production of these vehicles. They're definitely the quality over quantity mentality as far as vehicle design goes. Now we'll go ahead and move our vehicles forward. Get our platoons oriented to the best of my ability on the north-south road in vicinity of the fuel station. I think we'll have some crossfire here and assume a little bit of risk on the southern sector, potentially. Orient in, let's see, that direction? Yeah, that'll work. Get my commander moving forward so we can put some guns on there. And we've got our mech infantry still moving into mount. That'll take a little bit of time. I don't really need to, but I'm going to move my mortars forward, and I'll move my CSS forward as well. Alright, we've got what appears to be an enemy supply convoy, which we've encountered, and are, yeah, not really having a good day. I'm gonna take control real quick and just kill whatever infantry is remaining from these BMPs. There they are. Not the preferred method, but a method. I'd really hate to be the driver who's having to, you know, pull bone out of the track later, but such is virtual war, I suppose. I'm assuming the taking a fire was from 1st Platoon, firing over their heads, sabot pedals going everywhere, etc. Alright, that is a method to get back to your vehicle. So yeah, they can do some wonky things when they're tired. Let's see if we can speed this up until, well, there we go. And I have to say that the accuracy of these T-14s is just very impressive. As you would expect, considering this is the absolute pinnacle of technology that the Russian Federation has to offer. Go to a close formation, commanders moving in. We have our GM's almost loaded up. There we go. I'm going to march these guys forward to this position, and we'll see about establishing some firing positions there. Kind of oriented on that spot. Once they go there, I might push a platoon to orient towards the south of, I guess this is Highway 7. We'll see what we can do. While we're doing that, see if we can use this T-16 armored recovery vehicle to tow this damaged T-14 back to a safer area and start repairs. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Steel Beast, it does model the sustainment warfighting function to an extent. It's not going to be the most detailed or accurate simulator, but it's something that you actually have to think about. You know, what are key times during the fight where I need to conduct a reload, such as now, which they are thankfully doing in some cases. But I'll go ahead and order them to execute at this time, and we'll get some reloading going on. That's interesting. So to reload, you have to traverse the turret completely to the rear of the tank. Interesting. Looks like we've got another truck moving forward. I'm not too worried about that at this time. We'll go ahead and have this commander stop reloading. He's pretty good on ammunition, having not really done a lot of engagements. That's a 12.7 millimeter that was just fired from the commander station. Now, let me confirm this really quick, but I believe that while the vehicle is being hitched, you can give the hitching vehicle a command to conduct a march, and as soon as the vehicle's hitched, they'll go ahead, execute, and tow this vehicle to a safe area where it can be properly serviced. Still got some reloading going on. Interesting. Okay, at this point, everyone stop reloading, because there are tanks. Yeah. And start engaging. I want to put ICM on that position, because that's where the enemy is obviously coming from. And more, yeah, T-80s. Yep. Okay. Dismount your troops. Tanks are continuing to come, not surprising. So I'm not as familiar with the T-14. Well, they killed that. But I think I misjudged possibly not pulling the ammo truck forward based on the amount of ammunition available to this platoon. Alright, that vehicle is absolutely out of action. We're going to pull that back to be repaired. Yeah, they can continue the fight. Ballistic computer. Yeah, they're not doing too hot. I'm going to pull them out as well. I think 3rd platoon is probably our most combat-ready platoon at this point. Yep, absolutely. So, I'm going to move them forward onto this hill and take the primary observation. Let's make sure that these guys are in a good position. They are moving to them. Yeah, that should be pretty decent. And we'll have ICM on target in 14 seconds. Looks like the, well, we've killed a lot. I don't know how much is left, but we shall see. Breaching assets, it appears. Yep, they've got, I think those are mine plows. Interesting. Anything that was alive in that area is now destroyed. Not really a great position you guys selected. Move them forward. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. And here we can unhitch that vehicle, which is being repaired and will, you know, have its engine operational in, you know, 358 minutes, whatever that is in hours. Obviously, that's not really tenable for this scenario. Do a quick time compression, see if anything else comes forward. And yes, more tanks, of course. Repeat fire mission. In 40 seconds, we'll have effects on target. Continue forward until something else arrives, which of course is about right now. And they should drive right into the ICM or the waiting guns of our T-14s. More enemy tanks who are going to have an absolutely terrible day. And we did so well that we got a hip, another hip, and a huzzah. And that is the conclusion of this operation. Alright, the end results. We killed 46 enemy vehicles. We lost 0. Which is not exactly true. As you can see, there are multiple vehicles that were taken out of action. We're probably at about, you know what? Let me not guess. Let me go to the AAR itself. So we're at probably about, let's see, 2 vehicles there, 2 vehicles there, 3 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, like 7 vehicles. So we're down a platoon of T-14s, which are moving back to the CSS point where they can be repaired in the field itself. We'll go ahead and run through the entire AAR. I will turn the actual enemy's positions on, and we'll see how this played out from the overhead view. So, enemy recon in the disruption zone. You've got some initial elements here. Those are those tanks we encountered. It appears that we've got a, let's see, I'd say a good company plus in the counterattack. Not quite a battalion. I guess you could argue it's potentially battalion minus if you've just got, you know, like 2.5 companies or so, or about 2 companies. Moving forward, I actually want to pause and see the positioning of these BMPs, because we really didn't spot them until we moved right into their position. So that is, I mean, you could argue that this one isn't great, but that's actually a really good position as far as where they're at, because as you're moving forward, let me turn on the thermals here. Right, you're at about 3 meters of height. You're moving forward, advancing towards the objective, which is basically in, you know, that direction over there in general. Advancing forward, and you crest a hill, and bam, you're in immediate contact range. So that's actually very good positioning by the scenario designer. A lot of props to Zapuli for that one. AT systems, whatever. And then we get into the main fight here, which is just an absolute slaughter. Looks like 2 platoons of tanks and a company of mechanized infantry that just die and don't really do anything effectively. 3rd platoon rushes forward there, destroys the enemy's supply trucks, moving into a defensive position itself, bringing forward the mechanized infantry and conducting sustainment operations in the rear area. And then the enemy's counterattack begins, and we just, well, absolutely decimate every single thing. They stopped there to wait for the effects of artillery to be complete before advancing forward, just to go into another bit of artillery. So it looks like at the end we had, let's see, let me find the very last event. Okay, so the very last event, we hit this MTLB right there. Caused heavy damage and crew casualties. Yeah, those two guys didn't have a good day at all with that Sabo round passing right past their heads, but not destroyed. Obviously, given a little bit more time, that would have been the remaining enemy vehicle destroyed. The only surviving enemy are these AT systems. It advanced north where AT platoon was set in a defensive position with mines out forward. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed checking out this operation, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.